Welcome back, true believers and spectacular Spidey fans, to another really exciting episode of Spider-Man PS4 101. Now, before we begin, I do want to say rest in peace to the one and only Stan the Manly, who did in fact pass away the other day at the age of 95. Stan was beloved worldwide, and the fact that he meant so much to so many people just shows what an impact he had in the entire world. And I can definitely say myself, if it wasn't for Stan Lee and his amazing creations, I wouldn't be the person who I am today, and I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now. But just know that Stan's memory will continue to live on through all of our passion of his amazing characters, as well as the wonderful man that he was, so just keep that in mind. But to move on to the actual news of today is relating to some brand new information and a trailer relating to the second piece of the City That Never Sleeps DLC for Marvel's Spider-Man of Turf Wars. So if you didn't know already, Turf Wars is scheduled to release on November 20th alongside of a bunch of new content that will in fact be released for Marvel's Spider-Man, mainly with some suits, along with some new story missions, side missions, and some new criminals to fight in the city. And alongside of this brand new teaser trailer that we did get of Turf Wars, there's also some really interesting info that has been posted on the PlayStation website. And to start off with the first bit, it mainly goes over the synopsis of the overall summary of Turf Wars. So PlayStation states, Chapter 2, Marvel's Spider-Man Turf Wars. After gaining control of equipment left in the wake of Sable International's military occupation, Hammerhead and his gang have declared war against the other dons of the Magia crime family. Spider-Man and Captain of the Police Department of New York, Yuri Watanabe, must put an end to the violence before the entire city erupts in a turf war. So yes, we did get a few nibbits here and there about what the story could be relating to Turf Wars in the most recent update to Spider-Man PS4, but it's really great to get a full synopsis of the overall DLC. Not to mention that this new trailer features some really interesting scenes with Hammerhead, Spider-Man, and Yuri themselves. And if you didn't know, the person who's voicing Hammerhead within this game's universe is actually the same person who voiced Scorpion is Jason Spizak. And I'm sure that Jason will do a good job voicing Hammerhead throughout this DLC. I do wish that we actually got someone more fit for the role like John DiMaggio, mainly from his role in Spectacular Spider-Man. Still, given this recent teaser, I'm sure Jason will do a fine job voicing Hammerhead within Turf Wars, and I'm really excited to see his full role revealed in the DLC. So to continue with the PlayStation website, they also reveal new Enemy Stronghold. Sable International has left the city, but local gangs scavenge their bases and weapons. Encounter more powerful enemy types and bases fortified with the stolen Sable International equipment. So in the previous DLC, the only types of side missions that we got were related to the screwball challenges, getting some collectible artwork, as well as just fighting more of the Magia crime family throughout New York City. But given what this description states, it does appear that we are going to in fact go after more bases scattered throughout New York, just like we did in the base game. So not only do I hope that these bases are going to provide more of a challenge than what the heist did, but I also hope that they give for some lengthy gameplay that will in fact expand the runtime of Turf Wars. And if it wasn't obvious to tell already, given the huge relevance to everything that we know so far about the overall story of the City That Never Sleeps, I do think that the third chapter of Silver Lining will in fact relate to Silver Sable being the main antagonist of that pack. Now, even though we don't know for sure that that is going to be the case, I'm almost 99% positive that Silver Sable will indeed be the main character of Silver Lining, but still, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, of course, the main thing that a lot of you have been waiting for is the reveal of the brand new suits that will indeed be featured within the Turf Wars DLC, and I don't really know how I feel about them, but I can definitely tell which one Brian Intar's favorite is. So with the PlayStation website, it states bonus suits and collectibles. Add 3 new suits to Spidey's collection, including a unique, highly stylized Spider-Man suit. Collect new items and trophies throughout the new missions and challenges within the Marvel Spider-Man Turf Wars story. So previously, Brian Intar stated that his favorite suit within Turf Wars was going to be a costume that no one would ever guess, and he was surprised to see it actually be in the game, but once he saw its full design, he was actually really impressed with how it looked. And seeing how the previous DLC suits were Scarlet Spider Mark II, along with the Resilient suit and Spider UK, I think these suits are better, but I don't know if they should be in the main game. And of course, if you don't know already, the 3 suits that Insomniac are indeed going to put within Turf Wars is the Spider Armor suit, along with Mangaverse Spider-Man and the original Iron Spider suit. Now, out of all these costumes, the Mangaverse Spider-Man suit is easily my favorite, and it looks just like a stylized comic book, just like the vintage suit did. And as for my second favorite DLC suit, I would actually have to choose the Silver Spider Armor because of how sleek the leg pattern looks, along with the really cool eye shape. And as for my least favorite DLC suit, I would actually have to choose the original Iron Spider costume because it's a bit redundant since we already have the one from Avengers Infinity War. And yes, I do understand some people really wanted to see this costume within the game, but if we're already getting a certain Iron Spider costume from the movies, I don't know why we have to also have one from the comics. Now overall, I do think these suits are better than what we got within the Heist DLC, DLC, but I am a bit upset that there isn't an original Insomniac design within this DLC pack as well. If anything, I would have traded out the original Iron Spider suit for an original Insomniac designed outfit instead, but still, I do think I'm okay with how these suits are looking overall. And moving on with the PlayStation website is another section that adds more depth to the overall story that will be portrayed within Turf Wars. So this particular section states citizens on edge. Stay up to date on the city's reactions to the erupting criminal turf wars through in-game social media feeds, the tenacious city paper, the Daily Bugle, and the ever-outspoken J. Jonah Jameson and his podcast, Just the Facts. So yes, just like the last DLC had, we will in fact get more posts on the in-game social media feed, as well as some really great commentary from J. Jonah Jameson. Now for me personally, J. Jonah Jameson's podcast within the Heist DLC were some of the funniest dialogue I ever heard from him. And seeing how hilarious he was in that last pack, I'm really excited to see what he's going to say within this one. And to round up what the PlayStation website posted relating to Turf Wars, they actually gave us 4 unique comics that Insomniac have taken inspiration from for their portrayal of Hammerhead. And this part states Marvel's Spider-Man Turf Wars comics reading list. Insomniac Games' Ryan Smith, game director of Marvel's Spider-Man, shares some of his favorite stories featuring Hammerhead. Now the first comic on the list is a very old school classic all the way back in the early days of Spider-Man with Amazing Spider-Man 130. Gangsters with Gadgets. The battle between Hammerhead and Doc Ock continues and spreads beyond the streets of New York to involve Peter Parker's nearest and dearest. This run shows that even though Hammerhead is a mobster through and through, he's not afraid to change it up and use newer tactics. This includes jetpacks and helicopters making an appearance in order to fully accomplish his goals. As for the second comic, it is a bit more modern within Ultimate Spider-Man number 79. Ultimate Hammerhead. The Warrior storyline in Ultimate Spider-Man brings a modern perspective on Hammerhead as he attempts to take out the Kingpin. Plus, there's a great Spidey storyline woven in here as well, where Peter tries to manage the challenges of being a superhero and even a teenager at the same time, made even more difficult by the appearance of our favorite feline felon, Black Cat. And if those two stories weren't enough, there's also the addition of full-on storylines that fully relate to Hammerhead alone, because this next one is called Hammerhead Death of a Wise Guy. The Hammer Swings. Here we see Hammerhead's past and his transition into the future, courtesy of Mr. Negative and Dr. Trauma, as they transform him into the Hammer, an agent whose sole purpose is to break things. And moving on to the very last comic is actually relating to Amazing Spider-Man number 575. Hammerhead Upgraded. Hammerhead is working as Mr. Negative's enforcer, tasked with bringing fear to other New York gangs. The Hammer still has his trademark demand for respect and the traditional gangster ways, but he recognizes that we all have to evolve or perish in this game, and has a new outlook to go along with the upgrades that Mr. Negative has given him. This proves to be a real challenge for Spider-Man. And seeing how all these stories are extremely well written relating to Hammerhead, I'm really excited to see what exactly they're going to interpret from these comics within their iteration of the character. But in the end, guys, that's all the news I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you think about all this news relating to Turf Wars, and what are your main thoughts about how the suits look for this DLC pack? For me, I have no doubt that Insomniac will do Hammerhead justice within their game's universe just like they did for Black Cat, but I really hope that the overall content of Turf Wars is really well executed. And even though I really do like the Mangaverse Spider-Man suit, I'm not sure if I like the Spider Armor or the Iron Spider suits being within the game, since we've already seen them so many times in so many other Spidey titles. And given everything that we know already about Turf Wars, I'm really excited to see what that's going to lead into within Silver Lining. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Peace out.
That chunk of rock was going to attract trouble, but I didn't expect a crook like Hammerhead. Now why is a smart crook like you pulling a crazy stunt like this? You always seemed so level-headed.
I'm warning you, Webhead. Butt out! Ah!
Ole!